And I would say on the financial side, it's so important financially because I would say maybe it's the within the top three reasons why most people go their separate ways.
Mhm.
It is vital that you get on the same page. You may not agree upon how you do things financially. That's a whole nother conversation and a discussion as far as in the reference to the question. But it is critical that you be on the same page financially because how can you build a house and build a life if you're going this way and he's going that way? It's
Yet,
going to be very challenging. I think about when we first got married, while I had money and access to the finances, because I was still a single guy at the very beginning, long as the bills were paid and everything was good, I would say I had terrible financial habits. And the reason why they were my habits because I didn't have the same level of responsibility as when it's us two.
mhm.
As long as my bills were paid, I had extra money as far as I seen. I had money in the bank. I had because I seen it when I hit the little button on the machine. I seen it, but I didn't spend it on just any nonsense things. You only can have so much of the clothes and the gym shoes and the cars and all the tangible physical things. So Renee comes along and says, "Whoa, time out. We need to start doing something a little bit different here." And at first it was challenging. And I was like, well, I don't want to do something different. This is how I've been operating. Well, we had our communication at a point where we talked about it and said, this is my goals, this is your goals. Once you establish those goals together, it
Mhm.
makes it a whole lot easier to be on the same page financially.
Yeah. And it's important to understand that the person who is better at something should be the person to do it. Because we made the mistake when we first got married. I've always been good at balancing checkbooks and managing and living on a budget. That's always been my thing. But it wasn't Gil's.
Hmm.
But we were in church, and church was like, well, the man should be the head of the household. And he should run the finances. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're
Hmm.
going to do it. And Gil was like, I am not good at this. So I think that you have to also define in your relationship who is better at doing it.
Hmm.
If you're better at managing the money and than the other person, then you should let the other person do it. But you both should be aware of where it's going, how you make decisions. Everything again goes back to communication. Everything should be something that you talk about together. And the more you talk about stuff, that feeling you're like, oh, I just feel so, that's because you talked.
Hmm. You
You
feel
know,
more relief.
you do. You feel relieved.
Like-
So,
So, like as an example, these are some of the things that we actually use when we have sessions and we've done speaking engagements and all these different things, especially when you're trying to establish a common ground in your relationship. If you haven't developed and conversated about a lot of different aspects of relationships, this is a topic that you can see here. It says finances, which is a great topic because it's one of the top 10 things of what people need to discuss in their relationship. And if you're trying to build a financial plan, you're trying to build
a budget.
a budget, or even how you want to get on the same page financially, it starts with a conversation.
Mhm.
But how do you broach that conversation? Well, that's where these come in. And we share these with the couples that we work with. And this is a good one as an example. How do you build it? You ask a question like this: do you ever experience control issues around money? Question, to get the thoughts of the other person. What do you think about that? What is your view on that? How did you grow up with money? What does money mean to you before marriage, and what does it mean now?
And one of the things I think that I want to really make sure we address,
Hmm.
communication is important, but so is tone, so is volume, so is timing.
Hmm.
You should never decide you're going to have a conversation about something when you're tired, when you just had an argument.
About that topic.
Yes. Or when the other person brings something to you that they're concerned about. So let's just say I come to you, hey, babe, can we talk about your spending habits?
Out of the blue, or just after we just had a fight
No, I'm just
about?
saying, if I just come to you like
Oh
that.
yeah, well, everything's good right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Versus, I hate
What
the way you spend
or
money.
I would respond like, what do you mean my spending habits? Well,
Is it
you just went and got your nails done, you just went and got your feet done, you just bought a new purse, you just bought a new, so
right?
what's up with my spending
Right.
habits?
And so it's all about the timing. It's what you say. So we have to be mindful that sometimes the reason why our communication fails is our timing, it's our tone, it's how we frame it. So we have to make sure we're framing that we wait. We don't wait. We don't do it when we're tired. We don't do it when we're upset. You don't do it in a way where it's adversarial. And so it's just important to know, how do we have these difficult conversations in a way where it doesn't turn into a big major blow up. How many of you, when you try to have a conversation, it turns into a big blow up? I think that happens to a lot of us because we've never been taught how to frame the question where it's a question. And you can also always lead with, I need a better understanding of why we don't have A, B, or C, versus you don't never do this and you don't never, it's like if you start off telling the person what they don't do, that's going to be an argument.
It's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. So I think that it's important that we take into consideration, not just the communication is important, but the timing, the mood. Another thing that we see, we watch a lot of relationship shows. Don't wait until you're going out on a romantic dinner to talk about finances
or a heavy topic that is probably going to cause a conflict.
Yeah, it's better to have those heavy topics when you set aside a time just for that. You can have a cold word. Hey, can we have a serious talk? And one of the things that we have learned that really works really well, if I have a problem with something that Gil does, I will go to him and say, hey, babe, I have a problem.
You notice that the operative word is I have a problem, not you got a problem. You need to fix ABC, because it's really not, I may not even be aware of it. If she comes and starts off with the conversation, I have a problem because I hate when you leave the cap off the toothpaste in the morning. Well, I don't have a problem with it. You got a problem with it. But she has to bring it to my attention. And one habit that we've established, and this, Renee, I have to admit it, Renee, don't tell nobody this, y'all. Renee taught me a lesson in this early in our marriage. Don't listen for a second. Okay. She taught me a vital lesson. She said, when I come to you with an issue or a concern or a problem, that is not the time for me to come to her with a problem that I have with her. I was like, okay. That's not fair, but I get it. And she was absolutely right, because that is a time to say, you know what?